Hey everyone, this is Brittain Joy and Teresa, and we're from Totally Fierce Me, and I'm coming to you from Georgia today.
Yeah,
I'm getting closer to you.
you are getting closer. You are just a couple of hundred. Well, maybe, I don't know.
I think it's like 7 hours.
Okay, all right. Way closer than where you are in New York. Yeah.
I know, I could hop in the car.
You could hop in the car and come on down.
I could. It only to, if I leave early in the morning, I could be there right afternoon.
Well, the invitation's there. Come on down.
So let me pull us up here on Facebook so I can see what's going on.
It said we were live on Facebook on my end.
Yeah, we are, but I just want to pull up, I wish I could see. Where's my thing? I want to pull up the actual page so I can see what is going on. So, hey, everybody, how have we been doing? It's been a while. It's been
a couple of weeks.
We haven't seen anybody or talked to anybody.
I know.
So, yeah.
It's good to be back.
We're back. We've been busy. We've been busy working on a secret project for you guys.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
I will post after this live. Actually, I think I'm going to post. I'll do the first post about what we're working on because I'm excited.
I think it's exciting. I think they're going to love it.
Really excited.
Yeah. I know we're excited about it.
Actually, like really feeling like real now, which is awesome. All righty. So we're good to go here. There we go. Okay, so this month is the month of June, and in June we celebrate Father's Day. And I wanted to talk about the dynamic between fathers and sons because, when we talk about mothers and daughters, immediately we think about the emotions between the mother and the daughter. It's natural for us to think in that vein.
It's true.
So when we think about fathers and sons, I don't really think that we focus on the emotions that happen between the two or the lack thereof. And so that's what I wanted to talk about this month. I really wanted to focus in on why so many of the men, maybe in our lives, men that we've met, men that we've worked with, there always seems to be this communication gap. And it may not really be because the communication gap is between us and them as much as it is between them, their fathers, and themselves. If you're not taught to embrace your emotions, if you're not taught to know that it's okay to have emotions and to express them and to learn how to express them in a healthy manner, then you're really not going to be able to communicate with too many people without somebody thinking you have an issue.
That's right.
It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. So, being a single mother and being the mother of a son, my son has said many times to me, I don't understand why some of these guys act the way they do. And I said, well, I'm glad you don't act that way. He goes, well, of course not. You raised me. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Because you raised me right. But I never shamed him when he was little, when he cried or expressed an emotion. I always acknowledged it. I've seen, and I'm sure you've seen too, so many little boys, they fall down, they scrape their knee. Okay, it's not the end of the world, and sure, it probably isn't all that bad, but they're still little kids, they're still babies, and you need to, if they feel that they're hurt, then you need to respect the fact that's how they feel. Now, after that, you can explain to them, well, you see, honey, it really wasn't as bad as you might have thought it was going to be. You can only reason with a child, but so much.
It's
But
true.
you have to allow them to feel. And throughout society, throughout history, men have had that stolen from them. That was a gift God gave to us for us to feel. He didn't just give it to women, he gave it to everybody. He wanted us all to be able to feel. And for whatever reason, society has stolen that from men, and now we're paying the price in relationships, on the job, the dynamic between husbands and wives, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, what is it, fathers and daughters?
Yeah, the whole gamut. Yeah, the whole gamut. That's it. That's true. There were, I think that's one of the things, I don't know, just kind of popped in my head, that at the fall of man, that was one of the things that was stolen, that the enemy stole, was man to be able to feel emotions and express emotions. I mean, I wasn't there obviously at the but I really believe that because our Father feels, he talks about he has feelings of anger, he has feelings of deep love, he has feelings, he expresses, he does have emotions, and those are things that and if man was made in the image of God, then what would the enemy want to rob a man from but being able to express in a healthy way, in a healthy way, because God expresses in a healthy way, because he's God, but man expressing in a healthy way, because then being the head of the household, and as God has set him up to be, and kind of follow, well, it's difficult to follow someone that's not able to properly communicate and express. It gets lost in the translation.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was wondering, before the fall, Adam definitely knew how to express himself. Right? But the thought just occurred to me is when they sinned and they were shunned, shunned in the sense that they were told they can't live here anymore, you must go out there and live. I'm wondering, like, it was just Adam and Eve, so like, I can't even imagine, like, who shamed Adam into repressing his voice, his emotions, his feelings in that sense, because we know it wasn't God. The Bible is very clear where it says there is no condemnation, right? He may convict you, but he doesn't condemn you. So it didn't come from God. So a lot of times when we repress what we have to say, it literally closes up our throat, and we hold everything in. And I'm just feeling like that's what happened. So maybe it was the serpent, who knows? I don't even know. But it was something that he took upon himself. And he just sort of passed that on from generation to generation.
Right. Well, I don't know why this thought came to me as well, of the word says that their eyes were opened. But open to what? Well, open to, think of it as a door opening, a portal, an entranceway of guilt, shame.
Yes.
He never felt guilt. He never felt shame. He never felt those kind of things. So when that portal or that opening happened, then in rushes the shame and the guilt and all of those negative, all the dark side.
You know what you just did? I love it. You just figured out where the portal to negative emotions started.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, Jesus.
Seriously. Like,
Yeah.
we've been tracing it back,
Hmm.
within our own family lines, but
Right.
this is the first time that we've ever talked about it in this context where
Hmm.
you just explained so clearly where the door was open to these negative emotions that have been passed down from generation. It started when they sinned, and that door was actually open for them to feel things that they would never have felt before because was no there was no evil.
Right. Exact that. I mean, that was a God thing. That just like kind of like a download. It was like boom. It was like the
But
thought came to me.
I'm like, I'm almost speechless. Just think about it. How much easier is it to explain to somebody the foundation of
Mhm.
their negative emotions that they've been harboring for all these years? That yes, we can always say that it's generational, and you can only wrap your head around it's generational for so long, or
Right.
whatever. But when you explain from the as long as you're a believer, and this is what we believe, from the foundation of the earth, once Adam and Eve sinned,
Right.
that portal not only opened to negative emotions, it opened to every evil, anything that we deal
Right.
with today was
Right.
open then.
Right. Diseases, illnesses, everything, everything.
Anything we deal
And the
with,
emotions that tie in with diseases.
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. And think, those diseases didn't happen first.
No, no, they
They
didn't.
started, they started
Mhm.
with the negative emotions.
They did. They did.
So basically, I don't care what they tell you. Yes, we have a lot of toxins in the air, and we have all these
Right.
other things,
Right.
but the root cause of all disease starts here and in
Mhm.
here,
It does.
and
It
it
really
came
does.
from there.
Mhm.
Can't get any simpler than that.
It does. It's true. It really is true. I mean, think about it. So when there's a lot of grief, a lot of and when I mean grief, I mean we're going to grieve. We're going to have loss,
Mm-hmm.
in this life. We're going to, whether it's a parent, a child, an aunt and uncle, a spouse, a
Mm-hmm.
pet, you know.
Right.
Um but when we have grief that continues on, and we haven't allowed God to come and heal, because there is unresolved grief, so to
Yes.
speak, and unresolved issues, grief for maybe in our childhood, that we're grieving how maybe we were treated, or how, or grieving out of regret of things we did or did not do or should have done it,
Right.
whatever it is. It it ties in, believe it or not, to the lungs, to the breathing,
Mm.
to being able that, because think about it, we're taking in a breath. We'll say, oh, just, I can't, when we get anxiety, we get
Yeah, we can't
anxious,
catch our breath.
or when you're really sobbing, you can't breathe. Think about it. Well, that goes in emotionally. And um, a lot of problems with, yes, I understand there are toxins and things that cause asthma. I absolutely get that. And I'm not saying, but there are also breathing conditions and asthma related conditions that maybe came up on a person very quickly, or, and they'll say, oh, well, it's allergies. Have we traced it back to see, what am I grieving about? Have you ever, I don't know if you have, Britt,
Mm-hmm.
but I've awakened in the morning, or even in the middle of the night, and with my arms straight up over my head,
Oh, really?
sleeping with my arms like this, right? um, that's a position that when you're sleeping, remember, you're not, your body is kind of taking over, your mind is at rest, it's
Right.
healing. So when the arms go up, the body is telling the lungs, I need oxygen, or the lungs is telling the body, I need oxygen. So what do you do when you open your arms? You open up that, that passageway for oxygen to flow more oxygen into the lungs. So I don't know why I'm on this rant, but I'm just saying that, it's negative emotions bring in so much into our life, so much into our life, that, and from the beginning, from the very beginning. And if we can relate it to that, I mean, that's really a God thing, because when we were talking about it, it was like, okay, it's just like God said, well, that's
Yeah, but I mean,
where
that
it came
makes
from.
perfect sense, because with all the reading and studying that I've done, when it comes to negative emotions, the farthest it ever goes back is maybe 10 generations, that they can quote unquote trace it.
Right.
But no, we can
Goes to
trace
the
it
very
to
beginning.
Genesis and trace it and be right there. It's right there for us.
Right. Right.
The other thing I was thinking about was a lot of times when somebody will go to the doctor and the doctor will say, well, I can't find anything wrong with you, or we don't see a cause why X, Y, and Z is happening to you. And you'll be like me on medication, and the medication, for whatever reason, works for everybody else, but it's not working for you.
Right.
That's because whatever it is you're harboring in your system is not the disease you think it is. It stems from emotional and or spiritual issues that have not been dealt with.
Right.
And your average doctor is not going to understand that. So they're either going to prescribe you more medication or tell you you are a hypochondriac, and send you on your way.
Right. That's right.
And if you're not careful, you could be one of those people who is susceptible to self-medicating and trying to make it better on your own. And then we have a whole new host of problems.
Right. Right.
And the reason I bring this up is because men do not like to admit when they're not feeling well, number one.
That's true. That's true.
Number two, a lot of times what they're feeling, the illness, is really repressed emotions.
Right.
That's making them sick.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not seeking attention. They're lashing out. They don't know how to say, I'm hurting.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to say, I'm unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to say, I need more. So this stuff all festers inside.
Mm-hmm.
And if this man is raising a little boy, this little boy looks up to him. This is his role model. This is his father. So he thinks this is the way we handle situations.
Correct. Because
that's not
they are watching. That's right. They are watching. Yeah.
And all they're going to do is puppet what they've seen.
Right.
And then you have another generation of man who cannot function the way God created him to function.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And we have all of these other problems that just sort of come along with it. So that's why we thought it was really important that we really need to, I think more than anything, because I think men know that they're hurting, and men know that they have issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is time for women to give them permission to feel. Give them permission to express what they need to express. And here's the deal. They're not going to express it the way you think they should. They're not going to express it the way you want them to. They're going to express it the way they only know how, because they've never done it before.
Right. It could be a little messy.
It's going to be,
it's going to be messy, but it's going to be messy.
It is, but in truth, if you are the more enlightened one in the relationship or in the family or whatever the case may be, then you have to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? You need to step back and allow that to be.
Right.
Because if you don't allow him the space to heal, then you're just going to continue to deal with the same things that you've been dealing with and complaining about. And nobody wins at that point.
Right. Right.
It's a no-win situation.
Right. allow God to, and pray, because boys do look up to their fathers. They imitate their fathers. They imitate their fathers in their behaviors and their
Mhm.
responses, how they treat women, how they treat, animals, how they treat themselves.
Yes.
They will mimic their dad. And it can go one way or the other. It could be, where dad is dealing with his own issues and frustrated, and and a lot of times it's frustration with themselves. I mean, we women, we get, but we'll talk to other women.
Yes, we
Men
will.
won't, on the whole, I'm not saying that all men, but most men will not talk to other men
No, they
about what's
won't.
going on.
No, they won't. And their idea of talking to another man about what's going on usually has nothing to do with the subject that they really need to be talking about to begin with.
Right,
See, like,
right.
did you, like, did you talk with Charlie? Oh yeah, Charlie and I, we talked.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Charlie didn't talk about anything
No,
that you're
no,
going
clearly, no, they did not talk about it. They may have talked about, let's be honest, they may have talked about you or me, or their,
Right.
or their spouse, or what's going on, which, I mean, that's okay. I mean, we've done that too, but they're not going to talk about, their emotions. They might talk about that they're angry, but they might not. They might, and it is a problem because it sets up a pattern. It really sets up a pattern. For some reason, the story of Abraham and his father
Mm,
come to mind. And I find it unique that Abraham's father, Abraham was raised basically, his father made idols for
right.
he was idol maker, right? And when God called Abraham, what did he say? He said, leave your father's house, leave, basically leave, go, he separated him. Now, and I'm not saying that, but hear what I'm saying. He separated him from, what was he separating him from? He was separating him from generational mindsets, generational spiritual things, maybe emotions. We don't, but a lot of things he was separating him from to pull him out, to be his ultimate father,
Right.
to show him a new way, and if men would look to Abraham, what did Abraham do? Abraham was obedient. Abraham followed. Abraham taught, how to let go and absolutely just go to a new place in God. And I think that if we have men that are in the church and we have a husband that's a believer, we might have husbands that aren't believers. And so I would say, women, pray.
Right.
Pray. Don't, pray. But I think that if we step back and we pray for the man in our life, our fathers, could be our father, could be our son, could be, our husband could have passed away, or could be gone, so we pray for them. We pray for our sons or father, whatever man is in our life, that God would take them out of that place that they're comfortable in, and teach them how to express themselves, so that the
No,
next generation.
I agree with you 100%. And not only is it important that the father or the male understand how to express himself and realize that, my son is paying attention and he's going to repeat the same thing. But think about this other dynamic. That father has a daughter. And so she thinks that this is how all men behave. So when she gets old enough to start dating, or to the point where she's ready for a relationship, she may gravitate towards a man who is absolutely incompatible with her way of communication, because she is basing it on how her father was and how she grew up,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that this is how men are, when that is not the case.
Right.
And then
Right.
she may find herself in the same type of relationship that her mother was in, where pretty sure her mother was saying to her, can't understand your father, I wish you, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's going to repeat that same pattern. In the
Mm-hmm.
back of her mind, she's like, I'm not going to marry a man, that's like my father. But that's exactly the kind of man she's going to marry.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So not only has his way of handling or not handling his emotions affected his son, it also affects his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And that just keeps perpetuating itself,
Exactly.
generation after generation.
Right. Right. Then a woman marries another man like him, and his son treats a woman the same, and then it multiplies and multiplies. You see how slick the enemy is? Do you see from the get-go? Go back to the garden again. Go back, because he knew that it would multiply and multiply and multiply and multiply. And now it's almost like it is like a cancer. It's a cancer.
No, it is.
It's a cancer,
And
the only treatment for it is
and see, here's another a different kind of dynamic, because culturally, if you look at this same dynamic, in many cultures, the men are very free with their emotions, and they're very expressive. And there are not those issues that you find in, this country here. Let's just put it that way. Gonna be nice.
Repressed emotions. Repressed.
Yeah, for a country that is supposed to be so free, we have more repression of everything, including emotions.
It's true. And I find it kind of funny that we're called the land of the free.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We're the most bound country in the world. We are spiritually bound, we are emotionally bound, and we all know all the other things, the areas where we're bound in as a country, because it's evident every single day.
Right.
So the fact that people think that, that this is the greatest country in the world, I'm just gonna not say anymore. I'm not gonna say anymore. But
you know what?
Better.
We do know better. And the thing is that personally, I feel that I'm not saying my allegiance isn't to, because I'm in this country, but my allegiance first and foremost is to a whole different place. And I think everybody knows what I'm saying. My allegiance, I'm not, what the word says, we're not a citizen. You're just wanderers. And if we need to remember that. I need to remember that on just to remind myself, FYI, Teresa, you're wandering, you're going through, but you're really not.
We're nomads. We're really nomads.
We're nomads. We're nomads. We pick up and go where God tells us to go.
Exactly. Yeah, we
pick up your tent, pick up your items, drop off things, lighten your load.
Yeah, and a lot of times we don't want to drop off anything.
We don't want to drop off anything. We want to
take it all.
And a lot of times, and if we go back, human beings, but we're talking about father and sons. So a lot of times, and I'm not going to just say men because it's women too, so I'll just use people, find that certain emotions are pet emotions.
Yes.
I'm just, for one, anger. Well, that's just, I'm just expressing myself. I'm just frustrated. I've heard that a lot. I'm just frustrated. Okay, that's great. And I'm glad you're expressing that you're frustrated, but let's move beyond that.
Right. Well, because we want to take ownership.
Right. Exactly.
And it's beyond me why we want to take ownership of something that's so negative.
It's become.
Is it a badge? Is it a badge of like?
I think sometimes it's a badge, and sometimes I think we don't have anything else to replace it, because we don't trust God enough to believe that we can move in a different way. It's a scary thing to move. It's a scary thing to switch things up and move and change in a different, and it's
I
scary,
know.
and to admit to somebody, hey, I moved in that and I was wrong. I moved in XYZ, anger, I moved in whatever, but fill in the blank.
Mhm.
But it's important. And I think that especially men, they do have a heavy load, in the sense that they do have a heavy load. And it's,
But you know what? God would not have not given them, but allowed them. Well, let me rephrase that. God has given them ability to carry the heavy load.
mhm. It's true.
The problem is a lot of them don't want to.
Amen. Amen. That's it. Amen. A lot of them don't want to. You know what they do? You know what they'll say? If they're married, or if they have a girlfriend, or if they're divorced and they have a daughter, or if they have, we're talking about their son,
Mhm.
okay? They're saying, hey, here you go. Oh, and you take a little.
Right.
Whew, I feel so much better. And the other one's all down, like, and
Mhm.
it happens. It happens a lot in our society across the board, and I don't care what culture in America that you find yourself in, or where we've come from. We've all come from different places. Go back to the garden. It still started there. It doesn't matter what vein it goes in. It's
Mhm.
still an issue for men in general, and people, but we're talking about men right now. So
Right. But I think our society, especially here in America, has really been complicit
mhm,
in that type of behavior, not wanting to bear the weight of being the man.
I
You
would
know?
agree. I
And
would agree.
I know a lot of men will want to blame it on, well, feminism, but no, that's bull. That's not
Mm,
true.
That's not true.
Because if we go to other countries, men are being men and leading their families and
Mhm.
taking care of what they need to take care
Right.
of,
That's right.
because it has been ingrained in them throughout their history that this is the call that is placed
Right.
upon them,
Right.
and they honor that.
Right.
Here in the United States, nobody's honoring anything.
No.
Nobody
No. I
honors
mean,
anything at all.
no.
It's a good for all.
We really have. Trying to look for the word. I don't know why pandemic keeps. Maybe because we've been in the pandemic, but I mean, we have a major issue of
Oh, it's an
men.
epidemic.
Huh?
It's an epidemic.
That's the word. That's the word. It's an epidemic. That's the word I was looking for. Not thank you. We have an epidemic of men being absent. Now, hear what I'm saying. They're either absent physically
Right.
from the home. We have a major problem there, or they're absent emotionally, physically and emotionally sometimes. Okay, not present.
Right.
We have an epidemic of fathers, whether they're in the home or out of the home, not present.
Oh, that
Not
is so
present.
true.
And I know there will be some people who will disagree with me. There might be, but that look at it. Look at it. Look, are they really present? How many men are really, really present?
As we go from decade to decade, fathers are less present
Mhm.
more than ever. I don't care. We have so much more given to us, technology and all of these things that are supposed to make our life easier, yet
No.
they are less present
Mhm.
Okay, how many, I mean, yes, there are those families who on Saturday, dad takes the boys out
Mhm.
fishing.
Right.
Yeah, how many? How many families does that really apply to?
Mm,
Okay,
I
because
would have to say not many. I don't know who's listening out there, but
not many.
I would say not
If it's
not like it was a generation ago or
if
even
it's
beyond. Or,
16% of the population, that would be a lot,
mhm.
because that's just not the way. Everybody has become so consumed with their own everything,
Yes.
from the child straight up the line, that
Mhm.
nobody communicates with anybody, number one.
Right.
What happened to the days where after dinner the whole family would go for a family walk, to walk off the dinner and
Right. Oh,
nobody does that anymore.
nobody does that anymore. Nobody,
Okay, yes,
you know what?
I hear people in my ears. I can hear it now. Yeah, we do. We go on the rail trail and we walk after dinner, and we do it every day. Okay, good for you. That's
Yeah,
awesome. But
that,
guess what? There's a whole bunch more people who are not doing that. Those are
right.
the people we're talking to. Those are the people who are stuck. Those, let me tell you, those walks, as simplistic as they may seem, are some of the best times for people to talk about what's on their heart and in their mind, and to unload it. Because by the time
Mhm.
you get done with your walk, it's over. You've left it back
Right.
there.
Right.
When you go into the house, it's light, it's airy,
It's
it's
exactly,
you're not
exactly.
carrying all of that weight of the world that is constantly hoisted upon every man, every woman, every child.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Well, I mean, like you said, technology was supposed to make it easier. In a sense, yes, things are in certain aspects easier, but as far as it's caused us to separate even more.
absolutely.
Um, because what you will find, you'll find kids on the phone during dinner. You'll find, parents, in front of the TV. You'll find, you know, um, the phone, even the parents with the phones now,
Mhm.
or, they're on YouTube, or they're, whatever they're doing,
Oh, absolutely.
well, now people have to work from home, and that,
That's
but
different.
that's different, but still, I- you know, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying that I haven't found myself and had to check myself and say, wait a minute, put the phone
Mhm.
down. Seriously, put the phone down.
What gets me though is when everybody's in the house and it's like during the holiday, and instead of playing games and talking, everybody is in the same space and they're texting each other. No, no,
Yes,
we are not
yes.
doing that.
Oh my gosh.
We're not going to be
Yes,
like family. Hello.
yes, yeah.
There
Well,
needs to
that's
be a
become a new
drop
way
a
of,
drop basket at the front door. Drop it in the basket. You can pick it up on the way
I
out.
like it. I like that. Drop basket.
Oh my
I like
gosh,
that. Yeah.
I have
I
seen
mean,
that. And I'm like, you're kidding. The kid is right there. You can't talk
mhm,
to them?
right.
Oh no. Oh my
Oh, oh,
gosh.
don't get, I
Yeah,
know, I know. We had many, it was just starting when my kids were, coming along, when they hit teenagehood, because they're all 5 years apart. So the older one, not so much. He had he would tell you I had the card that that you got so many minutes on it,
yes,
and then when that was done, it was done. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's
That was
funny.
that was and then the other one comes along, my other son, and oh, the arguments we would have about putting the phone down
Thank you.
when we're at the table.
Yes.
No phones at the table. You would have thought that I was the worst mother in the world, and we're talking about I was just checking on the dog. She's gonna make sure. I heard the crate. So for my situation, you know, um, my husband was home for a good portion of the kids' lives up until the crash of 2008.
Right.
And then our whole lifestyle changed. And then I became basically a single parent
I remember.
because he was away all the time. So I was a single parent. And so I've had both ends of the spectrum.
Mhm.
And, we've had where we did the bike rides and we did everything. But, would I say that the expression of emotions, no. Do I see some things? Absolutely,
Mhm.
with my boys that,
Yeah.
but then when we came along as a single parent, oh my goodness, yeah, and then technology, and then, the phones, and then they like the texting, and you're sitting trying to watch a movie or, talk to them, have a conversation with them, and they've got this
I
going,
know. I
right?
know.
And now, but I just want to give hope to anybody out there because now they're all reaching, almost 30, almost 30, and now they're saying, that's just so disrespectful. Wow.
I love it. I love that. That's great.
Wow. Yeah. Your ears have finally like years of, I mean, it must have been like miles of like
Mhm.
stuff in those ears.
Oh my
Anyway,
goodness.
I know I've gotten on a tangent, but
No, but that's okay. But I mean, it still all boils down to the same thing. And actually, it's interesting that you brought that up because it just made me think. Do you notice that um, a man would rather communicate through text than to pick up the phone or to speak face to face,
mhm,
hiding behind technology because it's too uncomfortable to let somebody see you processing an emotion.
mhm,
That is so unhealthy and it is so bad for every relationship, whether it's an intimate relationship or a work relationship or just with your kids or whatever. It's not good.
right,
And
right,
technology has made it easy for them to hide even more.
right, and not deal with emotions.
Right.
They don't have to
Now they're
deal with
not
them
dealing with
because
anything. And
a
then if
text
you
is
tell them, well, this is what I think you said, or why did you say that?
right,
They will text you back. Well, that's not what that's in your head. I don't feel any of that. That's not what I was feeling when I
right,
said that.
right. Because we've lost this.
This.
This is how we read. This is, and the intonation, that's all communication.
But
The
when you have
intonation.
face-to-face conversation with them,
Mhm.
this is completely blank. So you don't know
I'm
what the heck
sorry.
they're feeling. So you're still guessing.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
still guessing because you really don't know.
right.
You
That's
know,
true.
you don't know. It's a
That's
guess
true.
game.
Mhm. Yeah,
So men, we're not picking on you, but we're trying to uncover all of the ways that you have been allowed to hide your emotions. And we're trying to tell you that, guess what? We really want you to allow your emotions to be seen. It's
yeah.
okay.
It's okay.
We
It's
need to
okay.
see them. We want
Right,
to hear them. We know you're
right,
not going to express it the way we want you to. We know you're not going to express it the way you might think you want to or are going to or are
right,
trying to. We
right.
understand all of that. But more importantly, your health, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, is all connected to how you communicate.
Mhm.
And the negative emotions that you've been harboring, whether it's resentment, which a lot of times there's a lot of anger and resentment men hold
Mhm.
on to.
Mhm.
If you don't communicate, you're holding that in and you're just making it worse
Mhm.
on
Mhm.
so many different levels.
Mhm.
It's okay to say I'm frustrated.
Mhm. Exactly.
You need to be able to express
What you're frustrated about.
what you're frustrated about.
Right. Right.
You know, you can be angry. It's okay. You just need to express why you're angry, what's angering you. It's okay.
Right.
But you have to start doing it because you're causing yourself more damage if you don't. You're
Right.
passing on a legacy that you don't want to pass on.
Right.
You don't even realize it, but we're telling you, you're passing on a legacy.
Oh, and I think sometimes they turn around and say, why did my son just do that? Why did my son just say that? Why did,
Yeah,
you know?
well, we can tell you, but I'm pretty sure you know by now. We've said enough, you know by now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there's no shame in getting help.
Right.
There's
Right.
no shame in talking to somebody who is
Right.
experienced in dealing with helping people work through uncovering negative emotions. It's okay.
Right.
That's why people like Teresa and I are here. That's what we do. That is what we
Exactly.
do.
Exactly.
Learning to connect the dots. Those are the dots that are from way, way back, even from the time of conception when you were conceived. Understanding the frame of mind your mother was in when she conceived you. Understanding the frame of mind your father was in when you were conceived. Understanding the whole entire 9 months you were in utero, what was going on, because you have absorbed all of that. If your mother
Exactly.
is repressing any kind of anger or bitterness or jealousy
Sorrow or hurt,
whatever,
whatever. Right.
she passed that on to you. It's called cellular memory.
Right.
Your mother passed that on to you. Your father passed on his own issues to you as well. You have to let somebody walk you through the process of learning to connect those dots. And then once you connect all those dots, then we can start to uncover those
Right.
areas in your life where you've been harboring these negative emotions that have been keeping you from being the man God created you to be. He created you to be a leader. He created you to be a mighty man of valor.
Right.
He created you to manifest something only you can manifest. Uniquely you.
Right.
But guess what? You were born into a broken world just like the rest of us. And some of us, thankfully, learned earlier on that we couldn't do this on our own. And especially if you're a believer, I know many times you'll hear, well, just pray and it'll all be better. But you know what? God expects us to use common sense. And there is no place in the Bible that, and there's no one in the Bible who has not walked where we are walking now. No, they didn't have technology like we did. But that aside, there's not one emotion that they have experienced back then that we are not experiencing now, and vice versa. All the same things we deal with, it's just maybe more, it's greater. It's more in our face because of technology, but it's the same thing. And if God was able to help them and walk them through and guide them, okay, it just occurred to me. So let's just look at this, and then I'm gonna stop. If you go to the book of Nehemiah, Nehemiah dealt with every kind of negative emotion a man could deal with. And he prayed 7 distinct prayers in the book of Nehemiah. And each one of those prayers dealt with a negative emotion that he asked God to help him overcome. So if that was happening in the Old Testament back then, what makes you think that now here in the 21st century, that God has forgotten all about us when it comes to our emotions and how we function? No, he hasn't. He hasn't. And he's, been so gracious and kind and loving and merciful to people like Teresa and myself, and opened our eyes to see the connections between what was in the past and what is now. and how they connect with one another, and how we have the tools to overcome so that we can manifest what God has brought us here to manifest in the first place. So on that note, you know, any man who's listening to this, or if you're a woman listening to this and you have a brother, a father, you know, a son, or whoever, please know that we are here, and
Right.
we would love to continue this conversation,
Right.
whether it be one-on-one or on another Zoom, you know.
Right.
We really want men to understand that it is okay to admit, I have negative emotions that are affecting my life, they're affecting my family, they're affecting my job. I'm unhappy, and I don't want to do this anymore. I want to learn a healthy way to communicate. I want to learn a healthy way to handle my emotions.
Right.
Here.
Right. We're here.
We're,
Yeah. Absolutely.
so I'm not sure where we're going to go next week, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll still have something to say about fathers and sons, and we might even just talk about fathers and daughters.
Right.
As well, because that's a whole nother
Father's Day. Right.
interesting dynamic.
Right.
For sure. But anyway, we are going to say thank you, and we appreciate you taking and making the time to be with us. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. So bye for now.
Bye. Thanks for joining.
Okay.